Today we're going to infuse CBD isolate powder into a thick, rich body butter. This is hemp-derived CBD crystal powder, and despite everything you've heard in the last few years, this is 100% legal in all 50 states, and it is real. In today's episode of Thermal Mermaid, we're making New England summer body butter infused with CBD and scented with cedarwood and cinnamon. Now, for those of you who are brand new to CBD, this is a chemical that's been extracted from the hemp plant. And in decades past, using CBD was illegal, along with its cousin THC, which, as you know, some people smoke. Now, CBD can be consumed or it can be used topically, and the product that we have here is made for topical use. It's packaged specifically from soap supply companies to go into cosmetics. It's not for consumption. Now, this is what it looks like when you buy 1 gram of isolate powder, but you can buy it already suspended in shea butter or in an oil like coconut oil if you want to. Now, I find this way easier to measure because I can see just how much I'm putting into my formula for myself. These tiny little spoons are meant to measure 0.15 gram of powder, and I'm going to show you here that 10 of these heaping spoonfuls divide 1 gram perfectly. So 1 spoonful, it's about 1/10 of a gram. Now, it is a little easier to divide it this way because for me it's a real hassle to get my scale to measure such a small weight. If you want to be more accurate, you can weigh it, but I find that this is always the same measurement for me. Now, if you want to learn more about CBD or cannabis, you can learn more in my book, Cannabis Cosmetics. This is available on Amazon, or you can download an instant PDF copy when you become a member at thermalmermaid.com. The links are listed below. Now, this book does go into more detail about CBD, and you'll get the full recipe that goes along with this demonstration, along with 24 other recipes that include hemp oil, homemade soaps, shampoos, conditioners, face masks, lotions, and a variety of other things. So if you're into CBD as a topical treatment, you may be interested in learning more. Now, we're going to get right into the actual body butter and demonstrate this product. Here are the list of ingredients that are going into this body butter. Shea butter, and you can use mango if you're allergic to shea, cocoa butter, hemp oil, coconut oil, argan oil, goat's milk, arrowroot, and of course, our CBD crystalline powder. Putting this recipe together is not even slightly complicated. I'm going to add all the oils into my kitchen mixer. Now, the hard oils will stay hard except for the cocoa butter, and typically I'll start with the shea butter and give it a little time to break down in the bowl before I start adding in the rest. The mixer you see here is set on the slowest setting. Now, once the shea butter starts to soften up, I'll gradually add in the other oils and then just let the mixer do all the work. Even if it looks like it's not doing anything, the only thing that you may need to do is loosen the shea away from the beater every few minutes. But as the liquid oils melt the shea, it'll start to turn into a sloppy soup. As this happens, just give the mixer time to get everything blended together. Now, if you have spent any time browsing through the other recipes listed over in the members directory at Thermal Mermaid, you may have noticed that I label some body butters winter butters and some of them summer butters, but they have almost the exact same texture in the finished product. Well, it's not the thickness that makes me classify whether a body butter is a winter or summer formula. This is just, by the way, arbitrary. It's just how I feel about it. But when I do this, it's based on how my skin feels after it's applied. Now, this combination of ingredients has a light, slick feel that melts instantly on contact with your skin. Now, as soon as it's applied, after just a few seconds, your skin feels matte and dry. It doesn't leave any buildup or any waxy layer behind, and this is really nice for warm or even hot weather. It won't leave your skin dewy and sweaty feeling. Now, part of the light matte texture is in the goat's milk, which is rich in caprylic acid, lactic acid, and also alpha hydroxy acid. And of course, this also eats up the dead skin cells, leaving the surface of your skin feeling fresh and new. So even some of these small, subtle changes to your base recipe can give you a twist on how to use the product or what it will feel like when it's finished. Now, at this point, we have our mixer running for about the last 5 minutes, and we're just going to let this work for another few minutes before we introduce the dry ingredients. I want all of the oils to be as uniform as possible before we add the rest. Now, if you're an avid lotion maker, you'll notice I'm not adding a preservative to this particular batch, and that's because what you're watching me make, this is just a gift for a friend who's going to be graduating from Wellesley this week, and I'll be going up to give this to her in person, so I'm not going to be selling this. Now, although this product does not have any water in it, and it will be perfectly fine for several months without a preservative, I always put a preservative in anything that goes out for retail, and I recommend that. So you may notice that the preservative is listed in the printable recipe over on the website, but we're not adding it in right here in this demonstration. And in goes the goat's milk and the arrowroot. And of course you can use cornstarch if you don't put in the arrowroot. Those two are interchangeable. And as soon as this is all blended in, you'll start to notice that the butter starts looking fluffier and creamy. And so we'll just give these two powders a moment to do their job while we continue mixing. Next, we'll get the CBD powder blended in. Now this batch that I have right here will make 4 jars at about 60 grams each. And each package, I want 100 milligrams of powder. So the entire batch is going to get 4 scoops in order for me to get that 400 milligrams. And of course, this is a gift. So here's my 4th scoop, and we'll put 1 extra scoop in just for my friend. Now our fragrance that we're adding today is a beautiful combination of cedarwood and cinnamon. And you can make this a novelty item if you want to. You can put cannabis flower fragrance oil in there and it smells just like it. And what happens is that younger people love the surprise of something scented cannabis when they're picking it up at your market tables. It does draw a lot of attention. But in my experience, my adult friends don't want to walk around smelling like cannabis, and so I find that cedarwood and cinnamon, it still has that edgy musk aroma, and then you add the candy spice, and it really is a really pretty combination, but it won't get any rumors started at work. So this is the one that I choose to put in. Once all the ingredients are incorporated, I have the mixer turned onto the highest setting, and now we just let it whip with air. Now the volume will immediately begin to expand. It becomes fluffy. We have these nice firm peaks, and the texture of the oils start to become something like a wedding cake sugar icing. And we'll get the texture that we want after we let this whip for about 3 minutes, and then we shut it all down. Now at this point, our body butter is almost done. We only have a few more steps to give it a unique look that will make it stand out from other butters with other fragrances. You can get a nice close look at how fluffy and smooth the oils have become here. Once you have all the air whipped to this texture, this won't deflate. It will stay fluffy like this as long as you keep your product at room temperature. Remember, coconut oil becomes liquid at 76 degrees, and you do have coconut oil in here, so you have to keep this below 70 degrees because as soon as one oil melts, it all starts to separate, and it might even encourage the rest of it to melt. So you have to keep everything at a neutral temperature, and this will stay and remain stable. The 2 colorants that I'm using for this recipe are Angry Rose and Soapberry Green, and this will give me a cinnamon and hemp themed color. Each part only gets 1/8 of a teaspoon, and this is just meant to tint the butter, not color it. I'm not real big on bright colors in my lotions because this is, again, it's a cosmetic grade mica, which means it's also eyeshadow, so you don't want the color to transfer onto your skin. So a nice light tint will do the job. Okay, if you caught my last episode, which was a short webinar, I told you that I will be giving registered members a place on my server and website at Thermal Mermaid to have their own e-commerce shopping cart. Now this is set up very similar to Etsy, so you can sell your products online. The only difference is you don't have any listing fees, and there's actually no fee. There's no charge at all. It's perfectly free. So if you're just starting out, this might be a good opportunity to get into selling your recipes. Now the first 5 people have already been chosen from the comments, and I'll be announcing the winners tomorrow in my next video. So make sure to tune in tomorrow so that you can see if you happen to be one of those winners. And this is going to be available to all members. So if you are hearing about this for the first time now and you're still interested in signing up, or you're interested in learning on how to get a free e-commerce shopping cart, no one is going to be left out if this interests you. So make sure that you do hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell so you get the notifications so you can find out if you're a winner tomorrow. And you have to be registered with your account at thermalmermaid.com. It's for siren and mermaid level registrations. Now what we'll be doing after I post some of these beginner tutorials to get people started with their shopping cart is we'll be discussing how to integrate your sales to the people that you meet in the real world online. And if you want to follow with these conversations and watch these tutorials, then make sure you're subscribed now. Piping the butter into the jar is probably the most fun part of this project. Now you don't have to pipe this if you don't want to. It might be a little bit too much effort, but this is how you get that two-toned swirl into the jar. Now, when you're doing this for real, meaning if you're making a retail product, just set the jar on the scale and then pipe up to 60 grams and it'll just fill the jar right to the surface. And you might need to tap it down a little bit if you can, but I'm overfilling these so you can get a good look at how the colors blend and you can see the texture as it's being filled. I'm exaggerating these peaks a little bit just for the photos, but the cream will stay in this shape once you've put it all into the jar. Now remember, this is not a lotion. To use this, you only take just a pea-sized amount and then you rub that into the surface of your skin to get a lot of coverage. If you end up using too much, it'll feel like you just poured a teaspoon of oil into your hand. When you touch the butter and then you slide it across your skin, it melts on contact. So this product is very condensed. If you were going to turn this recipe into a lightweight lotion, we would end up filling 12 to 16 ounce jars, not just this 60 grams that we're putting into these 4-ounce jars. So just keep that in mind when you use it, but also keep that in mind when you're selling it and you're pricing it, because this is a much, much more expensive product than your standard lotions that you would be making. So now we have our finished product, and let's get one last close-up of just how fluffy and stable this frosting is. Now let's take a quick look at how it absorbs into my skin. I'm going to take just a tiny bit and then rub this into the back of my hand, and as you can see, it absorbs almost instantly and it doesn't leave anything behind. The hemp oil and the goat's milk leave my hand feeling conditioned, but no heavy layer. And here's our finished product of the New England Summer Body Butter infused with CBD and hemp oil. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and until tomorrow, happy creating!